our YouTube channel. We are here again with another episode of Meet My Gems, an innovative and interactive approach conducted by our respected and beloved Sir Dr. Prem Kumar Agarwal. Sir himself was an aspirant of the West Bengal Judicial Service examination in the year 1999 and secured a top rank in that examination. But he has chosen the noble profession of teaching, as his passion for teaching guided him to resign from the West Bengal Judicial Service and to join the noble cause. He is currently the head of the postgraduate department of law of Hooghly Mohsin College. Formerly, he has also served as a faculty of law of the West Bengal National University of Juridical Science, WBNUJS, Kolkata. He is also the visiting faculty of National Judicial Academy of Honorable Supreme Court and the State Judicial Academy of Honorable High Court of Calcutta. His teachings has inspired and changed the life of numerous students who got to understand the very essence of law and its potential. Now, I would like to pass on to Sir Dr. Prem Kumar Agarwal to enlighten us on the objective of arranging this kind of helpful interactive sessions. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sushmita. Welcome, Saba. So today in our series of the episodes on Meet My Gems, today's gem is Saba Anjum, who has secured a rank in the West Bengal Judicial Service 2021. Saba had been a very diligent and a hardworking student, and she was extremely focused throughout her preparation in the West Bengal Judicial Service. Sushmita, through her inquisitive questions, will help Saba reveal her secret of success in this judicial service examination, which I am sure will be of immense help for all the aspirants of West Bengal Judicial Service and other competitive examinations in law. Sushmita, you may begin now.
Thank you, sir. Sir, with your kind permission, on behalf of the Judicial Service aspirants, I would like to start today's interview session with Saba Anjum, Madam. Madam, a hearty welcome to our episode and congratulations for your success. We are very much delighted to have you on board in this session. I'd like to ask you some questions related to the preparation for Judicial Service examination. May I start, ma'am?
Please proceed.
Thank you, ma'am. So my first question to you, how does life change after becoming a judicial officer, as it is a huge achievement and also a huge responsibility in one's shoulder?
I'd say that once one person becomes a judicial officer, a lot of changes is going to come in his life or her life, definitely. First of all, though, becoming a judicial officer will give such an immense pressure because we all know that it's such a prestigious job, and that feeling, like, it gives an amazing feeling when I will walk out, then people will show me so much of respect which I have never seen before, when I've never felt before. So that thing is there, and very important thing is there that with this comes a huge responsibility. Becoming a judicial officer, it is something like one has to be very mindful about what one is speaking, what kind of post that I put on in social media, what comments I share. So these things are like very impactful. One should think about that. There should be good implication that must fall on judiciary. And obviously becoming a part like becoming a judicial officer, now I am a part of the judiciary, so I have to keep this in mind that whatever I do, however I represent myself, is very important, that how people are going to take judiciary as a whole. So these things are there now. A lot of responsibilities are going to fall on my shoulders. So yeah, this much.
Lovely, ma'am. Then my next question. From when did you want to become a judge and what was the reason and which persons and incidents inspired you to follow this path, ma'am?
Um, for me, since the starting of my BLLB course, I was like into more of judicial service exam, and but then I was thinking of doing it for higher studies like LLM, and then there was option for practicing also, but I had never had so much of heart for going for practice. And as far as it regards to higher studies, so that can be done anyways. So I guess like when I was feeling more prompting to go for the judicial service, I want to share that one experience about it. So I was buying this limitation book, okay, and I was choosing some books that were suggested to me in the bookshop in my college that I have. So there was one book which I found that the materials were good enough, sufficient for a small subject like limitation. Okay, and then I found there were certain papers of judicial service examination. So I was becoming a bit thoughtful about it. Maybe if these papers will become useful to me sometime in future, maybe I'll go to that direction. And incidentally, it happened that that book turned out to be Prem Sir's book, which it was published by Sir himself, and and that was the thing. Still, I was not very sure about it. By last year, I was more sure that what I want to pursue about it. So then from my last year I decided, and almost after the end, after passing out, I started my preparation. And there were certain persons who had inspired me, like there is a distant relative who herself was preparing that time when I was in my fourth and fifth years. So she, like looking at her, like she being a married woman having children, she can do so much. I am single, I can do a lot. And though this thinking definitely comes that preparing for judicial service, it may take first, second, third attempt, I don't know when. And the longer it will be, the time it will take me to get a job and to get stability in my life. But still, that person was like a sort of inspiration for me, and I thought that I will give a try, a good try, that I will go for this particular job only. So it's then when I decided, and these people were there, these incidences were there, which inspired me.
Very interesting, ma'am. Very interesting story and also inspiring too. Uh, then, ma'am, coming to next question. We all heard that a good teacher explains, but the great teacher inspires. In that context, please tell us about the role of your mentor in your journey of becoming a judicial officer.
A role of a mentor is definitely very important, I would say that, because we always need, see, any kind of exams, any kind of career we are going to pursue, we may not be sure about what to do and how to get that thing, and if the path that we are choosing is going to be a correct way or not. But if we have a mentor, a good guide, a guru, I would say, then it becomes very clear, the vision becomes clear, we get guidance, so we get idea, we get a vision where we have to lead, and how we can, what we can do to attain our objects. And in this regard, obviously, Dr. Friend Kumar Agarwal sir has always been very helpful. He has been always there whenever I would have any problem regarding any subject, any topic, anything. I would just make a call to him, and he's always there to help me out with this thing. Mentor is like very important to have. And one thing that I would like to say here is that um, preparing for such exams like these are going to be very tough. If somebody does not have a mentor and does not have a guide, then what happens is that that person can use, obviously a person can do without a mentor also. It's not that it is impossible, a person can do on his own competency. But if you get a guide now, then that pace becomes quicker, and person can maybe get attain his object more faster than one would have done. Maybe I would have taken a second, third attempt to crack this exam, but because I had the mentor and I am feeling very blessed about it that I had these people in my life who have always guided me. I could do these things maybe faster. It was like unexpected for me that I could do in my first attempt. So mentor is like very important thing, I would say.
Yes, ma'am. Really inspiring. Your words are really inspiring. And next question, ma'am. When did you actually start your preparations for these exam? I mean, during your LLB days or after completion of LLB? Actually, when?
Exactly, I would say that I was in my almost, I was going to appear for my ninth semester external internal exams, I guess. So I was trying to get to know about this examination more, what will be the syllabus, and how should I be, I have to cover, how I have to prepare myself. So I was more into finding and researching about these things. Okay, and by the time I completed my 10th semester, I started my preparation. I would say that by the end of 2018, I started my preparation seriously, but still it gets time to adjust with the kind of. So what happens is that now we start preparing, okay, and we have certain strategies in mind. We think that we are going to learn in this and this way and prepare ourselves, but that does not work out. So that again took few more months for me, okay, and by 2019 middle, went into the flow to get into the serious preparation.
Ma'am, now we will move towards the questions related to preparation part and its strategy. We all know the syllabus for judiciary is very vast. And for WBJs, we have to keep 14 to 15 subjects, so far I can remember, at our fingertips. So it is very difficult to remember so many provisions, sections, articles, case laws. So, ma'am, I would like to know how much detailed or in-depth study is required. Can you please share your strategy with us for both prelims and mains?
Of course, I will share with if any of my strategies and tips can become useful for any judicial aspirant, who are going to view this. So, what I used to do is I suggest that there is a requisite of 1 month, 1 year to 6 months of preparation. Had an idea of preparing myself for 1 year, like just prepare myself wholly throughout it. And what I did is I would suggest that one should have a very good knowledge with the Bail Act along with the textbook. Okay, so one should study all the subjects thoroughly. One should have very good knowledge about the concepts, all the concepts, and barracks should be at the tips. Means at least if one does not learn the provisions by heart, that is not required. Not for all of them, but remembering the sections, remembering the chapters, these things are very important. And remembering sections is also very important because in case of prelims, we get MCQ questions where certain sections are given, certain provision is given, and in options we get section number. So sections must be like in your mind very well, very thoroughly, and knowing the theories very well that we read from the textbook, that must be in your mind very properly. And this is how I used to do. And regarding preparation, I would say that I would study in combination of subjects. Like I would set a month for 2 or 3 subjects and combine the subjects where I will match tougher subjects with a lighter one. Like CPC, I would match with limitation, and they go quite in sync with each other. Then again, I would match IPC with CRPC. Both are criminal laws. And again, in mains we have the CRPC and IPC together. Then I would combine evidence with TP, Transfer of Property Act. So this way I would combine the subjects, and I would fix a target that in 1 month I'm going to complete this, and I would complete it wholly. Like I'm not going to leave anything. Again, one very important thing is that one should have one should go through the past 10 years papers very well. Keep doing that, and because it helps to get an idea, to understand that which topics of all the subjects are very important, which comes time to time, and because the important questions are going to come, that is for sure. You get an idea about it. So having an idea about this thing will help you to pick point which topics one has to focus, and otherwise not restricting yourself. If one has more time, one is giving more time for the preparation, I would say that try to know each and everything of every subject. Like in evidence, I would say that I have done almost everything, every topic I had studied. At least having a bit of knowledge, a bit of conception about it. That in case a question comes suddenly, which never came before, I would at least have some idea to write about it. So these things must have, okay, all the subjects must be done wholly, and but then again it is not possible to remember so much. So what I would do is the most important ones I would try to like find out. Then again I said, now by referring to the question papers, I would have an idea that which topics are going to come definitely, which are more important. So I would bring my focus more upon those things. So these were the way I did.
Very nice, ma'am. Thank you for your suggestions and your tips. So, ma'am, next question. Please enlighten us about the books, barracks, and study materials for different subjects. Apart from standard textbooks, did you follow any concise study material for the prelims and mains?
Um, for the books, as you have already said, that they are popular books that we have studied in our BLLB time, and those books are sufficient for preparing oneself. Like popular books, if I have to mention CPC Takwani, IPC KD Gaur or Ratan Lal, then CRPC Ratan Lal is there, then Partnership is there, Avtar Singh, then Muslim Law is there, Akil Ahmed. There are many books that we have already followed in BLLB times. That is sufficient for preparation. Apart from that, I would say I did not use preferred any other books, just the most popular ones like these. And for MCQs, I would suggest that I used to use Universal's book. That was very helpful. I would practice MCQs from there, and some common questions also comes. Like I find that some questions comes from there in exam. And then there is another book I would say for prelims preparation. There is Ray's Guide to MCQ. That book also contains past year papers. So then again, that book would also be helpful for anybody to prepare, but the answers are not very correct. So these were just a few books. For prelims, I would go for these two ones, mostly universal. And for other books, for mains preparation, there are these popular books. Apart from that, I did not go for any other new author or something. Just this one.
Ma'am, thank you. Then, ma'am, I just want to know from you that what was your strategy for compulsory subjects like tort, contract, and how did you deal with vast subjects like CPC, CRPC, IPC, evidence, TP?
Hmm. So about these subjects, I'd say one by one. For taught, I would say I used to study the whole of the thing. All the concepts must be there very clearly in my mind. So concept clearation must be there for all of the topics. For contract, for TP, Bayrax must be done very well. And with that, see, some certain chapters, certain sections cannot be is not possible to learn. That is not possible and may not understand. So, understanding them with the help of the textbook. In that way, I would remember the section number. Then I remember the content of it by understanding. With the illustration and with the case law, it becomes easier to remember. Then I would refer to the textbook for TP and for contract. For evidence, I would go for both with both of them, with Bayrax as well as with the textbooks. And with the big subjects like IPC, CRPC, and CPC, I had this strategy in my mind that I'm gonna jot down the important topics they are by referring to the papers. Those chapters I'm gonna focus the most. Okay, after preparing them, if I have some time left, then I would move on to like briefly review what are there in the other unimportant parts. Then I will go through them as well. So this is how I would cover average. With big codes, I would not learn throughout. I didn't do that. I would do the important ones, but the I would not leave anything totally. Like in IPC, I would say that this part, certain governmental stamps is there. Questions from these parts does not come. So what I would do is I would at least remember the what is the chapter number, from which section to which section it consists of. So having an overview knowledge of all the subjects is important, but for big course I would not learn all of them throughout. Just the important ones is like more important. I would go through the I would learn them by heart. That is what I did.
Ma'am, now coming to the current affairs paper. There is no syllabus for current affairs and GK paper, and it is not possible to make suggestions for this paper. Lot of students faces difficulties with this paper. So, ma'am, can you please give us some tips on how to prepare for this paper for both prelims and mains? And did you practice solving MCQs on this paper for prelims?
Um, for the current affairs and GK, I would follow the newspaper daily. Okay, so having a daily newspaper, having good knowledge about the current affairs is very important, and one that is the basic thing actually. Apart from that, one can go for supplements. Like I would go for magazines. I would prefer chronicles mostly, and from there I would go through news notes are there. Those parts like contains the import like some static GK, like who is becoming the who is coming in the hot seat now, which personality has expired, which awards has come. So these kind of current affairs you get more easily from magazines, I have felt. But because from newspaper, one or two news can get skipped, then these things will help in for preliminary. Okay, and another thing is there with the current affairs I would do, I would follow GK's Arihant book. Okay, and from there I would like history, geography, these were not like I could manage to do, because one or two questions in mains GK paper definitely comes from history part, but I could not manage to do history there, because already we have so many law subjects to there. We have language subjects are there, we have to prepare that as well. And GK is one does not know what is going to come and what not, even after preparing. And for that, so I would skip history and geography part. What I did is I would study the miscellaneous portion, whatever I could, the important was. That would help me for both the mains exam and as well as for the preliminary. So, and yes, and one must follow, definitely I would mention here that editorials is very important. My preferred newspaper was The Hindu, so I would daily go through the editorial. If I would have not time to go through the whole newspaper, then at least I would go through the editorial, and I would practice writing on important topics, like as in the form of essays. So that would help me for both my GK papers as well as my language paper, because we have to write big essays in English language paper. So I would try to write on important topics which I feel that these are like hot topics going on for the time. So this way I will prepare. I prepared myself.
Ma'am, what was your strategy for language papers for both English and another language?
Honestly speaking, I have not prepared much for. I have not given much time on this language paper, especially Hindi paper. What I would do is writing essays a number of times that becomes time consuming. I have done few times I did, and I used to do pressy writing. Okay, because on that part I was not very good. And for Hindi, because my second language paper was Hindi, so I used to do translation a lot. So, and the letters is easy. Grammar I used to do, like I had a book of class 10 level of ICSE. I would go through, and I hardly went through it. That did not came into use. And incidentally, it happened that in our time the grammar portion did not even come. We all only had a um, letter, essay, translation, and comprehension we got. We did not get any grammar, so I did not waste my time there. I was not even required to test my knowledge in that part. So I did not work so much upon Hindi, and for English, I mostly used to do pressy writing. And also, I used to prepare myself for these one word substitution, and then idiom phrases are there, and there are certain books that from where I would like just practice, like I would just practice. There are some MCQ type of questions are there. So what will be the synonym of this, what will be the antonym of this, then just for the sake of practice. Because see, there is one thing very true, that a person cannot be pro at any language at any time. So in that case, obviously, so even I would not try to, whatever knowledge I have, that much only I will be able to give on the exam time. So, and one cannot enhance his grammar level a lot in a short span of time. I would not invest my time much over there. Whatever I had, I would just for my time, for my break time, I would do when I would get bored with the law papers. Then I would go through this studying a little bit of grammar portion of English language, and then practice time to time precise and translation for Hindi paper. So this much I did. I did not focus so much upon Hindi, and in English also I did not focus so much.
Ma'am, so next question. It is related to optional subjects. Which things one needs to consider when choosing his optional subjects? And can you please let us know what were the 3 optional subjects you chose and the reason or logic behind your choice, ma'am?
One should see that if the paper one is choosing for optional is a small, then if one finds interest in learning that subject or not. My optional papers were Muslim law, partnership, and the Limitation Act. So I chose for Limitation Act because we know that that paper is there in preliminary as well. So, and it is such a small act that it does not take any effort to even learn the whole braid act. I even actually did that once. Eventually, I was trying to forget. So, nevertheless, so I chose limitation because the preliminary and mains both can have it. Partnership I choose because that is another very small subject. And to some extent, I'd say that I was from commerce background. Like in my plus two level, I had commerce, so I had a bit of knowledge with partnership and company. So I went for that subject. Again, that is also very small. And I chose for Muslim law because family law we have a paper of both with Hindu law and Mohammedan law in preliminary examination. So I went for Muslim law. Then and again I find interest in studying Muslim law. I did not choose for Hindu law because having both the family laws will like become a little bit more heavy upon me, because both are like an inheritance part is very tough in family law. So I did not want to take both of them. I just took one family law that will be like okay for me, and then these two subjects were there.
Ma'am, we all heard a popular tagline, পড়তে হয় না হলে পিছিয়ে পড়তে হয়. Means one needs to study or else she or he will fall behind. So we want to know from you that how much time one needs to devote to prepare for the exam, and how was your daily schedule in various stages of preparation and for different subjects? Ma'am, can you please share with us?
Of course, I will share with everybody. I would say that for one has to give 6 to 8 hours of study daily, and this time your duration is like not fixed. One has to keep increasing the time. With the time of with the time of his or her preparation, one has to increase the time one is giving for studying the subjects. 6 to 8 hours is the minimum I feel. So, and I used to give around 8 to 10 hours. Sometime it would get less also, and as the exam would get nearer, then I would spend more time. And as you get into the flow of preparation, you don't have a track of how much hours you're giving. You're not just counting and studying. Whatever time you have, you're just going with the flow, and whatever you can cover up in that time space. And okay, so I used to my daily schedule was, as I have even told before, that when I was starting to prepare myself very seriously, I would fix a time, like a month plan I would have. Every month I'm going to complete 2 to 3 subjects every time. So this way I did. Then after I went through this learning process. Then the pandemic situation came definitely. So then I got actually more time to revise. Then I would pick up 2 to 3 subjects a month to just revise them. Then and also in every day I would not study one subject throughout the day. I would keep at least 2 subjects, because one subject becomes very boring and dull, and I will not feel like going throughout. Some people like do that, they would uh, take up just one subject and finish it within a week or 2 week or some days. I would never do that. I want to keep 2 or 3 subjects which I will do daily, so that will like give me a break, a change of mind, and it will also keep my interest in the subject. I will feel like focusing and concentrating on the subject. Then again, and I would also do time to time, I would switch on to practicing MCQs for myself mostly. Then and that will give me I would test my knowledge. Then I would go through question papers time to time to find out that which topics are more relevant, which I have to study more. So this is how I used to prepare myself daily. And in exam time, I would just before preliminary, I would divide my subjects, within these few days I would complete this many subjects. A combination I would form, and in this way I'd prepare myself for the preliminary while revising.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, did you prepare your original notes or practice answer writing? And how much are these necessary for successfully cracking judicial service examination?
Having an idea to write how to write an answer is very very important, because however a knowledge a person possesses, if that person cannot present the answer the way the examiner would want and give marks upon it, then it will become a drain. It will all go into drain. Exactly. So in that case I would say that one must know how to write answer. For this, Prince always has told me that I would ask him certain times that how should I prepare my answers. So he used to tell me that forget the days that when you used to write long historical answers, very descriptive answers in NLV times, which would consist of a number of pages. You know, you would be given marks on the basis of the number of pages you write. That is not required here. Here they require that the answer must be to the point, it must be compact, it must give what the question wants, your answer gives it in a lucid form, with it literally shows that yes, you have the knowledge about the subject, you can give it. If one does not even write the provisions literally, that is not a problem, as long as one can explain the answer. But the answer must not have to be unnecessarily long. It must go as per the marks that is given. For 5 marks, it must not be very big one. for 20 marks just because it is 20 marks, and the question does not seem like that one can write so much. You don't have to give so much. Write as per the question. Even if it is of 20 marks, one does not have to write 20 pages for it. There must be sufficiency that what the question is asking, you are giving the answer for it. There must be limitation for that. Answer must be to the point. That is what I used to do. And I did not practice so much of writing answer pattern. Just two times I gave myself mock test, and I requested sir to just give a review about it, and just tell me that if that will be like a suffice or that will suffice or not. So I will get an idea. So I said that it's fair enough that I can write this kind of answers. So that was done. I did not practice so much of answer writing, and handwritten notes. I would say that I prepare my kind of like they are different notes. The kind of material that I would not find from the book, that topic I would search from the net, then I would have it. I want to read from the copy better. I do not like to read from the mobile or something like that. I do not like to read from devices. So I would make a short note upon that topic which I would not find in the book anywhere, and then I would make differences. I would write certain explanation, like certain section, if I find very difficult, and I would. If I can even mention section 19 of Evidence Act, I used to find it very difficult. So after understanding a lot from the book twice, thrice, then I finally, when I was done with it, I would in a very simple form just for my explanation, I would make certain notes. So this much only I did. I'm not into writing notes so much.
Ma'am, our next question is related to time management during exams. We get only 3 hours for a paper, and from a student's perspective, I can say that in general, for a student, this 3 hours time is too short to solve a paper of 100 marks. And this is a very common psychology of students. So while writing answers, how much importance should be given to or at what portions? How the various ingredients like historical evolution, sections, explanations, own comments, illustrations, case laws must be reflected in the answer pattern for 5 marks, 10 marks, 20 marks questions. Yeah.
Time management is a very crucial factor. If one has all the knowledge but could not complete the paper on time, then again that will be his or her total loss. So one has to manage the time. That is very important to finish the paper on time. What I used to do is my strategy was like I would divide this 3 hours time for group A and group B, and remaining time, some 10 minutes, I would leave for the sake of revising. So this was my plan before sitting for the exam for the first day. So, but when I appeared for the exam, then I felt like it happens even if you fix a time, you are very much probable that you are going to take more time. You will go beyond the time you have set for yourself. That just happens. By the time I would reach the last answer, then I would be like, I'm just running out of time. I would like in any hurry where I just finish off. Then this strategy did not work for me. I used to first in few papers, in first few papers, I used to do that. The questions that I know better, I would attempt those first. And when you do that, we all as a students know that the questions we know better, which are more inclined to give more time. It just happens that you cannot help it. It happens, and by the time you are going towards the end of your paper, and the time is nearing to end, and you are going to attempt those questions on which you don't have a very good knowledge, then you are like your hand gets very crunched, and you feel like you're not able to finish the paper. So this kind of thing I faced in few beginning papers. Then I formed an idea that I'm not gonna attempt in this manner. Then I thought of that I will go serial wise, and I will whatever questions I know in serial order, whether I know it better or I don't know much, I will finish it within the time that I've allotted myself. And when I did that, I felt like this kind of pattern of writing, of finishing the answer within the 3 hours, that worked for me. But I can even mention that from Muslim law, the option paper when we started, I used this plan of mine, this is strategy that I'm gonna write my answers in this way, and literally, believe me, I finished my paper. I got even five or maybe 2 3 minutes of time to just go through it. So that worked for me. Uh, that is why I would suggest for whoever judicial aspirants are there, it is better sometimes because certain papers are there. We see that all the questions are compulsory. You don't have options in Mohammedan law. There is no options, and there are some other papers also. I cannot recollect for now. So there is no use that you will choose that questions which are more important and do them, because it happens just that you will be like more inclined to spend more time on those questions which you know better. So it's better that you go serial wise and you strictly fix the time for yourself that you're gonna finish it. Even if you're not able to finish, you leave that answer, leave that group and go to the group B. So at least you will have some kind of like control over the time, and this kind of method worked for me.
Thank you so much, ma'am. The next question, ma'am. How should an aspirant utilize the 1 month time just before the prelims and the gap between prelims and mains exam?
Just before the prelims exam, I devoted my time for revising as briefly as possible. I would go through the main parts more, the sections more, and then time to time I would keep practicing the the MCQs from universal and from the past year papers to get an idea. So this way, in a very short duration, I would cover up the all the subjects in 2 to 3 days. Okay, and as for the volume of the subject, even that also is a matter. Then in the gap of prelims and mains, we had a 2 months gap because of the pandemic situation. Generally, it does not happen. We generally get a 1 month gap between prelims and mains, but we got 2 months. So for the first month, I was preparing for 2 3 subjects, and it took like a lot of time. And I felt like I had almost 8 subjects I yet had to do. So I was getting very tense about that, how I'm gonna finish my revision. Then I called up sir and I took his advice, and his advice worked for me. He advised me that if I've prepared myself with the last 5 years papers, that it will like cover most of the topics, important ones, and my revision will be like done sufficiently. And I'd say that when a person is see, we are preparing for the exam for some months, right? For 6 months or more. Now, by the time we are approaching to the exam, if we are getting like too panicky about revision and we're not able to complete revision, see, that will not help much, because whatever you have learned that time in that solid time, that is gonna work more in on the date of exam. I have literally experienced this thing that even certain topics I failed to revise in between that just before my mains exam. Okay, but because I learned it sometime when I was preparing myself, I could recollect something. I had the concept, so I could do that. I could manage it. So even if one person finds a very less time for revision and is getting his or she's getting panicky, one should not feel panicky, and this is a shortcut way I would say that sir has given me, and literally worked for me. One can like do just follow 5 years paper, last 5 years paper, and cover the whole subjects. I literally covered my 8 subjects in 1 month just before the mains exam, and my revision was done, and this is how I did for myself.
Ma'am, the schedule of WBJ's main exam is too hectic because on each day the examinee has to appear for 2 papers. And in case of IPC, CRPC and evidence, or tort, contract and other paper, even 3 papers on the day. Moreover, the exams are conducted without any gap on consecutive days. So, on the exam days, what an aspirant should be doing to revise the papers, ma'am?
Um, in this aspect, I would say that revision does not work so much just before the day of exam. And can you please kindly repeat the question, the last part?
Yes, ma'am, sure. I'm repeating once again. My question is, on the exam days, what an aspirant should be doing to revise the papers? And it's from your perspective, ma'am. What did you do during those days, ma'am?
On those particular days when I would have the exam the next day, first of all, just before the exam, I would take a complete rest. 6 hours sleep is a must because the sleep helps you to retain whatever you have, the knowledge that you have. It helps to retain the memory. Sleep is a must. One should not sacrifice sleep just before the day of exam. I would do that, and I would not take after come giving one exam. I would take rest, have my food, and relax a little bit. And I cannot help much but revise. I decided that I'm not going to revise for the exam that I have the very next day because one definitely feels very pressured. You have exam every next day, and hardly there will be a gaps between. And on one day, one will have 2 to 3 papers, so that becomes very hectic. But still, I would like go for a little bit of revision. Like I would just go through the contents of the bare app just to see that if there is any section that is like not very well in my mind, but I feel that that is important. Just a little bit, I would like go through it, and that time I would say that one should relax more, keep your mind cool, and have a rest and plenty of water, and keep yourself good, um, have a good diet, and one should not take so much of stress about revising. I would not do that, but not revising for me will be like more stressing. So just I would go through it very briefly, just overview, I would say, from the bed. This much only I revise, not more than this.
Ma'am, now I'd like to ask some questions related to interview or personality test. Can you please share some tips on how to overcome the fear of speaking in and the nervousness of facing the personality test, and how one has to prepare for the interview?
In this aspect, I would say that one has to like keep convincing his or herself that you can do it. Say, come before the mirror and speak to yourself. This helps the most, okay? And talk to yourself, practice before the mirror, and say yourself that you can do it. Well, anybody is bound to feel very nervous, and I'm a kind of person who feels very nervous. So I used to feel very nervous about appearing in the interview. For me, prelims and mains were not that tough. I would get more scared of thinking of the interview stage. So I used to encourage myself and boost my spirit that even if I don't have this feeling that I can do it, I would keep telling this myself, because the more you in what direction you think, you start actually getting that thing in your mind. Even if I am not, even if I feel that I am getting nervous, I would say that I'm not going to get nervous and I can handle this thing. So I used to keep up my spirit in this way, and this thing is there. And then I would talk to sir certain times to take his advice, like how I'm gonna do it, what I should do. I would take his suggestions. So he was always there to help me. And also for those aspirants who are from non-Bengali or from non-Bengali background, who are like Hindi speakers like me. So with them, I say that for them, I would say, okay, one should not worry about Bengali so much, because I gave myself almost 2 months of preparation for Bengali. That too for past just 3 weeks before the interview, I was preparing for Bengali very thoroughly. So that helped me. I could manage this one. And for nervousness, I would say that one should practice before the mirror. This one is going to work the most, because what happens that when you are practicing before the mirror, You can see how you're talking, how your face how your facial expression is changing, how your mouth is moving. You get to see and observe yourself. But then again, talking to another person is also helpful. So I would practice time to time with any family member, just with the general questions. So this is how I used to practice myself for the interview.
And ma'am, can you please share your overall interview experience and questions asked with us?
I had a very good experience about it. I was not kept for the interview for long. It hardly lasted for 15 minutes and was like it became quite easy. Maybe I was lucky enough that I was not asked so many of questions, so many. I was not grilled so much in the interview like it happens in many other cases with many other people. And the atmosphere, I would say, was very cordial, very cordial. That even if one person is getting very nervous about in appearing before these people. So they're like talk so soft and they are like very cordial people. They are the PSC chairman. Like I can like I would like to share that before just as I entered, before I could wish them good morning, he was the one to first wish me good morning. So that like took me a little back, but I liked it very much. So they were very like asking. They were very gentle and they are not going to scare you at all. Very cordial people and. Questions are not very tough, like which were asked by me, which were asked from me. Very general ones, like the Justice Tapaprata asked me questions like what things I have, what qualities I have of becoming a judge. Then what a judge must possess, what qualities a judge must have. These kind of questions, very basic ones, and not much were asked. Then one legal question I was asked by the judicial secretary. There was the about zero FIR. But unfortunately I could not recollect what zero FIR was, so I did not answer that very well. Maybe that was incorrect. So I did not face much problem with that. And these people are like they are going to treat you very nicely. One does not have to feel so scared. Everybody feels scared about the interview part. Mostly everybody has to know what happens in the interview, what kind of questions they are asked. It maybe varies with people to people. There are certain persons who had much who had interview for much longer duration. For me it was for hardly 15 minutes. For some people like me, they also had for 15 to 20 minutes. So this varies, but these people are like going to treat you very nicely. You don't have to feel very scared about it. I was feeling scared about it, but after entering I was like fine. This was my experience.
Ma'am, now I will ask some general questions. So, ma'am, how did you balance social life while you were preparing for examination like judicial service?
I cut off from social life. I would say that I was not into social media at all, or every Insta, everything was like switched off. From the time I started my preparation seriously, I cut off from the social life, not going to the social events so much. Well, because started to find that these things become very distracting. Okay, and time also get kills when you get into the flow of into the seriousness of studying, and you are in between going on. Socializing with people, you, actually it happens that one will feel like socializing. Even I feel like I would feel like going to parties. I would feel like going meeting friends, talking to friends, and doing social media. But then that is very distractive. I will find a lot of time to bring my focus back on the studies after coming back from that. So this is why I would like cut off my social life totally till the time I will pass out. So that is what I did. But I would say that it is better that one balances social life with the study life, with the preparation, because that also gives a break which a mind needs. but different people have the different things. So some people cannot manage it, like I would not be able to manage it, so I would like get away from that totally almost. So that is what I did, but it is suggestive if one can do manage your social life a little bit to give yourself a little break from the studies. That helps to keep your mind also afresh if one can do so. So but I did not opt for that option, so this was my thing.
Ma'am, now I would like to know whether having a court practice experience gives an aspirant an advantage or it doesn't make any difference.
Code practice is, I would say, it's a good thing if one can do so. But it is again, it is not very mandatory because after clearing the exam, we will have training in Judicial Academy. We will be trained for that. But if one has a practice experience, then that is a plus point because in that case, one is already used to and has seen the court environment, the procedures, how things happen in the court, which I don't have for now. But nevertheless, that is not a problem because I will obviously be into the training, and in that time I will learn myself. Then I have to work more hard to get used to this environment, the court environment, which I have not been to into so much. So that is not a very vital factor, but if one has the practical experience beforehanded, along with the along with the person is becoming a judge, a person also has a practical experience previously, then that is going to be a plus point one because that person is more stable here. So the both way will work, I feel.
Ma'am, so while preparing for West Bengal Judicial Service exam, were you also preparing for other states judicial service exams and other exams related to law like WBLS or anything else?
No, I was focused wholly on WBJS, and that too, I had always in my mind that I'm going to appear for West Bengal. But with the pandemic situation, things started getting so delayed that then I was starting to consider other options. I was thinking of appearing for Tripura Judicial Service. Okay, but for that I had to study because in Tripura Judicial Service I found that the subjects are almost like coming within the syllabus of West Bengal Judicial Service. So that will be convenient for me. I don't have to study any extra subject. Just one thing will be that I have to prepare myself for Bengali mains paper, which I don't have because my second language is Hindi. So I was thinking of preparing, but I did not because by that time the notification did came out in the month of July in 2020, I guess. So I did not appear for any other state exam.
Next question, ma'am. Sometimes it may happen that due to the monotonous pattern of lifestyle during preparations or maybe for any other issues like health issues, it may not be possible to maintain the smooth progress of preparation throughout the year. It may happen for 15 days one studies hard and regularly, but for next 7 days or 10 days, one can study only for 2-3 hours a day. So in that case, how to cope up with the vast syllabus?
It do becomes difficult. Like that is why I feel like giving us yourself a little bit of break is very good. I would do in my case is that when I'm studying with a flow for 2 3 weeks, I would obviously feel a little bit like boredom that all the time studying does not feel good. So time to time I would give myself a space for meditation, for relaxation. These things I used to do in my case.
Ma'am. So whenever you felt low in this journey, how did you motivate yourself, ma'am?
On this part, I would say that I did not do this alone. I had my mentor, I had my family and my friends who were always there time to time to encourage me because sometimes you feel like I can even recall one time when I was like going to appear for the means and I found that the exam will be just after a month and I have so much to prepare. I was feeling quite low, but that if I'll be able to prepare my finish my revision or not, because if I don't revise, I will not get the confidence to write in the exam time. So these things used to happen every time. And but then I have the mentors. I have Prem sir with me. I had my family member. I have some of my friends who've always there to encourage me that I can do it. I should keep my hope. And then with their good wishes and with their advices, I would boost my spirit that I'm not gonna let everybody down and myself. And that motivation is, yes, it's very important that it should come from within the most, because how much any other person will tell you, it will all go in vain if I am not able to pull myself. Okay, in that context, I will say that also it happens that suppose everybody is so fearful about the interview, right? So, but at every time you have your mentor, your family member, your friends who will be supporting you. But just the moment before the interview, when you're sitting outside and you're feeling like your heart is beating very fast and you're getting very nervous, then who is there to support me? That support is coming from myself. So I used to keep up my hope that I can do it, giving myself a belief. Though I know I may have the feeling I may not be very competent, that I will not be able to do it, but I would keep telling myself this thing repeatedly. Doing this thing, no, it boosts the confidence. You will automatically start getting the confidence to do things. So this is how I used to do, and obviously I had these people in my life who have always supported me, and they have always encouraged me, motivated me. So with their help, I have also motivated myself to crack this exam.
Ma'am, we are almost at the end of this episode. Now, to lighten up the mood, I would like to proceed with a quick rapid fire question answer round. May I, ma'am? May I
Please
proceed?
proceed. Please
Okay,
proceed.
thank you, ma'am. So, civil or criminal?
Would like to choose both because both are important.
Okay, smart work or hard work?
Hard work along with the smart work.
Balancing, that means.
Yes,
Yes. Books or handwritten notes?
I prefer books.
Physical classes or online classes?
Physical classes generally, but for now we have to offer online class,
Seminars or webinars?
seminars,
School or college?
college.
Age-old customs or modern trends?
A blend of the two.
Constitutional practice or criminal practice? Criminal
Criminal trial.
trials.
Criminal trials.
Physical court hearing or online or virtual court hearing?
Physical court hearing.
Service or practice?
Of course, service.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, my concluding question to you is there anything which you didn't like about the judicial service exam, I mean the exam pattern, or what changes you would like to see in the exam from an aspirant's point of view?
From an aspirant point of view, I used to think like before appearing for the mains exam, I used to think that I would get is like a bit tense that for mains we have the routine like back to back we are going to have exam and almost three papers daily, and I used to feel that this should not be the pattern because one will not get a breathing space in between to even relax on. That is going to be very hectic. But let me tell you, after giving the exam, my exam like finished for in almost 11 days as far as I remember. I felt much more relaxation, and I thought that if spaces were given more, then what happens is that when you get a 2 or a day gap between every day exam, you always have that feeling that you can revise a little bit, but then again, already you are studying from a long period of time. Again, you will keep in touch with the books. It's the time now that you should just go to the examiner and write on the paper whatever knowledge you have. Okay, So I feel like completing the exam very quickly is a good thing. Most of the people would say that they would prefer that there should be gaps between these exams because that becomes very hectic. But I feel like not giving gaps between the exams was better idea because one is already getting very tired with this preparation for a long period of time. Then again, if the exam is running for 2.5 weeks, that again becomes more stressing. So if the exam is completed as quickly as possible, this is good for me. I do not find that there needs to be any change. That is fine.
So, thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us such a detailed discussion. I'm sure the insights shared by you will help all judicial aspirants. And thank you again, ma'am. Now, I would like to ask sir to say a few words. Sir.
Thank you, Sushmita. Thank you, Saba. Today's gem.
Thank
I
you
was
so much.
listening. I was listening to the conversation very meticulously, and I was enjoying every bit of it. Although it was a little long, but then it was really refreshing because the words coming out from the cauldron of truth from Saba, from our experiences, I am sure will help the participants a lot. She so frankly, in details, spoke out her mind and heart. Thank you, Saba. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Sushmita. Thank you so much for the nicely arranged questions. Saba, wish you all the best for your life as a judicial officer, and I'm sure you will work very diligently and sincerely. All the best, Saba. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much, sir. Thank you so much for your best wishes and thank you for making me a part of this lovely interactive session.
Thank you, Saba. So, Sushmita, now you can end the program with a vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to thank on behalf of all judicial aspirants to our respected and beloved sir, Dr. Prem Kumar Agarwal, for giving such an opportunity to interact with a precious gem like her. Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable tips and suggestions. Thanks everyone for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe our channel. Very soon we will be here with a new video. Thank you.